Hey everyone, welcome to Go Live. What beautiful faces, and you are lovely guests. We're gonna get sauced up as always. It's gonna be a great show. Stop saying happy birthday, it just started. Thank you, Peter Morland, for that. Thank you for everyone who is tuning in to join us. I see some bunch of beautiful names. Gamers Watch, Peter Morland, Cole Eastwood, Fonz, Stuffed Short. Thank you all for, and of course Isla Drummond, and loads more. Thank you so much for tuning in, and if you're listening after the fact on Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, all those places, thank you for listening to us. I'll try my best not to scream. We have a great show for you today. We have a fresh face, a debut to the show finally after a long time. After a long time making it work with just life things got ahead, but it's finally good to have my brother from down South America. You're South America or Mid America, I don't know where he is. ACS Husk from Gaming Beyond the Box. How you doing, bro? You good?
I'm great. It's weird doing a show in the middle of a Saturday. I kind of like it. So,
yeah, get used to it. Get used to it.
I'm pumped to be here. Glad to finally be here. I'm ready to talk about stuff.
Yeah,
it might get a little sauce. Might get a little saucy a little bit here shortly.
Of course it's gonna get saucy with you here as well. He's just chugging away those beers. And one thing we do that when we get a debut or for guest showing, and then we want to know a little bit about you before we get into our good friend Hargeet, who keeps going invisible and visible with his green screen, with the source shirt. Talk to us about you, Husk. For people who don't know who you are and Gaming Beyond the Box, tell us about your journey into the content creation space.
I guess we'll try and sum it up as quickly as possible. It was well over 10 years ago. I started dinking around with making videos and editing, piecing together gaming stuff, and I even tried tutorials and stuff. A lot of it never went anywhere, but I dabbled. Eventually had my own thing. The only thing I really have to speak for that you can actually go and see is my creator feature. I eventually ended up being absorbed, I guess you'd say, or I don't know, joining the team over at Game Beyond the Box. And we've done a lot of random stuff, but there's just not enough time to keep up with it. So... Yeah. We do what we can when we can. Wednesdays are pretty consistent for the most part. I've worked on a lot of stuff that nobody will ever see. That's not it's not public eye stuff, and it's not necessarily stuff that's mine once I've made it. So
I see. That's a bit of a shame to work on something you can't claim.
Yeah, some of it I can't use. But yeah, that's how I got here. I've been dinking around in the space for about a decade. Well, maybe a little more.
You've been doing a great job, and Gaming Beyond the Box are a great crew of people, very unique content creators who don't hold back what they say. So it's very abrasive. Yeah, it can be abrasive, can be X-rated like the source, but yes. That's why I love you guys, and genuinely great people as well. So thank you so much, and I can't wait to get in the source with you on these topics as well. Last but certainly not least, ladies and gentlemen, is a person who has been by popular demand reappearing, but not just reappearing on the show as a guest. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to announce a new member of the GameOnDaily family. He's not just wearing the Source shirt just for Source. He is joining the GameOnDaily familia with the hope that he can stretch his wings and bless us with his excellent takes and his Jason Ronald-esque beard. It's Hargeet Chani. Thank you so much, brother. It's gonna be epic having you on in the Game On family, and thank you for coming here, bro.
Well, thanks for having me, and so hopefully be an exciting new thing. We'll see how it goes, right? But hopefully we'll have fun today.
We definitely will. We're definitely going to have fun today. It's going to be Source. I see Cole Eastwood there. He is already dropping Source. Fonzarelli, you timed him out. What did he say, Asa?
Wait, I'm apologising to him right now. He tried to derail a long-running tradition of saying happy birthday to Gaz by typing the wrong name, so we're not going to go over it. Fonz, I'm sorry. 300 seconds isn't that long. Just behave yourself and you can stay.
5 minutes, isn't it? And shout out to Percolator 9000, who was speaking to him earlier. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat, wishing me a happy birthday, which has been something that a chap called Stu created and Dark CMF ran wild with. Well done. You trolled me. You know what? I appreciate a good troll. Yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah, Dark CMF is brilliant. And speaking of trolls, I see you in chat, Rookie. He's the serial troll out there. So, based on, the one person I did introduce actually is the co-founder and co-host, Asa, who's been sitting there quietly causing trouble in chat. How are you, bro?
I was quite happy to be forgotten, to be honest, but no, I'm fantastic. I'm looking forward to getting into it.
No, it'll be a great show. I'm just gonna get bloody epilepsy from your green screen.
I know, it's kind of weird how it keeps flickering.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Later sometime.
No,
one note for those who thought I wouldn't be dropping a code. Here it comes.
Oh yeah, Hargeet is dropping code. He's been dropping codes. Elden Ring codes, bro.
Enjoy.
That's one way to celebrate your debut. Thank you so much, and whoever gets that code, get it. Elden Ring is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Cole, yes, me and Cole are inseparable. Don't be jealous, Rookie. So this week, thank you so much, Hoggy, for that, by the way. It's really nice for you. And this week is a game that none of us have played. That's the feature of this topic. It's times are crazy. It just came out yesterday, so do forgive us. And we've all been playing Elden Ring. But that doesn't mean we can't talk about a very anticipated PlayStation exclusive called Gran Turismo 7. That's finally out. Reviews are finally out. Controversies abound. But before I'll split this topic into a few parts here. There are like 3 subcategories of topics I have. But chat, please don't be messy when we go into the source. But I was going to ask, firstly, let's just talk about the reviews. Asa, have you had a chance to look at the reviews? Because I ask you first because you did intimate that you weren't overly confident in Gran Turismo. Am I correct in saying that?
It was a running journey. So for a while, when they first revealed it and showed the trailers and things, it was very underwhelming. The most recent showing before launch, I kind of changed my tune and said, actually, I think they're delivering something pretty good here. So whereas I had been saying that Forza Motorsport 8 basically had an open goal, it was going to have an easy time of being the best of the two, I was less certain. I was saying that Turn 10 would have to actually deliver their best for a while to achieve that, because Gran Turismo is punching harder now. Now the reviews have come out. They're fairly mixed. So you've probably seen like the aggregates around 88, I think, like most PlayStation games this year have been, which is a good score. Cool. And there have been some people absolutely loving it, giving it like 9.5 or higher. And there have obviously been some people that like it but don't love it. So raise my seat. I can raise my seat in a minute.
Yeah. So look, let's be honest here. The king of races, the crown, it belonged to Forza, in my opinion, quite decisively for quite a number of years. Isn't that right, Husk? Did you expect Forza to be dethroned? Has Forza been dethroned? Chat and Husk, what's your view on it? Have you been a Gran Turismo fan? Were you looking forward to this?
I used to be. A long time ago, I was. I dumped many hours into the first few.
Same.
And I don't know, eventually I just didn't like the idea of, driving 700 laps of the same thing over and over again. It was fun for some time, you know, I'm not gonna lie. And the graphics, like every year and racing other people, it was always fun. It was a racing game, you know, and the graphics just kept getting, it was amazing every time a new one came out. Like the strides they'd make. And it's no different this time around. I mean, it doesn't seem as big of a jump. And I mean, I think we're at a tipping point where we're gonna start seeing games like both platforms having bigger jumps, but this wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't like it was previously, like I would see. And you know, physics are important in racing games, so seeing what I saw of that, I don't know how that happens. Also,
that's a point. Yeah.
I mean, I want to poke at something. People were pointing out certain pixelated stuff and backgrounds off of ray tracing stuff that's actually that's not even in game. But it's not like during gameplay, right? That's all picture mode, correct?
So the ray tracing is in replay modes. You don't see the ray
okay.
tracing.
So you don't get it while you're playing. Correct?
So yeah, which is a bit. So we'll get into that. And a sneak peek on what the next source video is going to be about a little bit. There's a lot in the source video, and the next source video is coming soon. But Hargeet, Husk talks about the diminishing kind of, you know, the allure of, I think, races in general, but also maybe perhaps Gran Turismo. What's your take on Gran Turismo? Have you been a fan? Does that still appeal to you?
I've never played a Gran Turismo, believe it or not. But I'm also not a racing guy, right? So, you know, Colt, for instance, loves racing games, but I'm like, I play racing games casually. Hey, especially if they're on Game Pass, I'll try it out. And then after an hour or two, I'm like, I'm done. I'm not really into racing that much. I think it's great that the franchise is there to try to push the other side, right? So you don't want Forza to have no competition. So it's good that there's something useful, right? So I'm hoping they can push things. But this is a cross-gen game, like Forza Horizon 5, right? So it's not really pushing the envelope. Let's hope they do get to do one. And it seems to take so long now for the Gran Turismos to come out. And maybe that won't be the case going forward. Maybe by, like 4 or 5 years from now, we get another one that's really, next gen PS5 only, that really pushes the envelope. But hey, it looks pretty good, for what it is. And I'm sure when, Forza Motorsport 8, whatever they called it, the new one, that's supposed to be next gen only, will push the envelope a bit more, right? And I mean, but still, it shouldn't take away from people playing on, on PlayStation. If you want to play it, right? Racers are racers. It looks pretty damn good. Enjoy it. The microtransactions are an interesting story, but I'll get to
that. Well, before we touch on to that, I do want to touch. So just a couple of reviews. There have been, like Asa, you have suggested, been quite mixed, mostly positive. Even one of the reviews that came under flack was VGC that said, if you can suffer the clunky menus and endless dull dialogue, there's an excellent racing game underneath. And a lot of people got triggered by that. So why do you care about the menus or the dialogue? But it's all part of the package. Ultimately, you want to trim the fat and enhance the racing experience, right? So there's an argument to be made there, but I take it on board. Console Creatures, whose review, a lot of reviews on GameOnDaily, you can see, and we pitched a big update we'll talk about at the end of the show. But really, Console Creatures said Polyphony Digital has created something beautiful to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Gran Turismo, and is unequivocally one of the most realized racing simulators out there. And you'll get that kind of mix, or generally positive, with some critiques. And then there was one publication called Survivor, a publication that suddenly came into the limelight after they reviewed Horizon Forbidden West, and that review was a little bit scathing. Mostly the score of it is what triggered a lot of people, because it dragged the Metacritic score of it down. They did not get a code from PlayStation, and they should always get a code. Once you have that contact, there's no reason why you wouldn't get a code unless PlayStation or Sony did not want to give you that code. And the article, which I will paste here if you want to see, it's on GameOnDaily, it's not a good look, but I will say Sony have done this before. They have full autonomy in doing this. They're a private corporation. They don't want to hand out codes to people they don't want to hand out to. That's fine. But Acer, before you know my stance on this. I'm going to absolutely on all of PlayStation for doing this. But what's your take on it? They have a right to do it. Is it not? Is it okay?
Oh. I didn't want to have to get into this one. So, have you seen? People have been digging into Stevivors kind of scores versus the aggregates and Metacritic scores between different series of games on different platforms, and the evidence is fairly significant that they are overscoring Xbox games and underscoring PlayStation games. And
is that
it's
the
supported
case?
by quite a lot of data. Now, it's very, very difficult as a topic, because obviously nobody wants these companies to be picking and choosing who gets to review their games according to getting a good score. At the same time, you can understand if they're looking at this and going, well, they're just dragging our scores down and not paying. Like, it's not fair. They're on something here. You can understand why they'd be reluctant to give them codes, because they don't have to give away free games to people if they don't feel that they're serving them honestly. It'd be quite interesting to talk to Stevivor and see like their stance on it, because they've got a right to review things how they want to. They don't necessarily have a right to free games, and they've come out and said that outright quite honestly as well. Like, it's their prerogative. They don't have to give us a free game. We're just going to have to buy it and review it on launch. It's a difficult one. It's not very clear cut. Sony aren't necessarily ultimate evil for holding back codes in this situation, but it's a dicey subject.
It is a dicey subject, but I think we have a responsibility, particularly as we run a news aggregation platform, because maybe the one day that argument may arise. You know what people are like. They'll be like, "Oh, why did you feature these articles on, in your website?" It's an aggregation platform. You can submit right now. Copy and paste a link into a website. It takes 3 seconds. Your article's there on the website. That's how easy we created it. I don't think we hop on it as much as we should. Literally, you have a YouTube channel, paste your video, gaming related, please, or whatever. But ultimately, there's a question to be. You say that, and I understand that, and I did see some of it, but there was a lot of other positive reviews that a lot of that data supported in favor of PlayStation as well. We need to speak to Stevivor on this. But one thing I would say though, Acer or gents, don't you think it's a little bit risky or a slippery slope to have developers or publishers or console makers pick and choose who they want? Because Sony is not clean on this. They reprimanded GameSpot for what game was it? For giving them a low score, and someone in chat will remember, oldie like us. That was not good. Sony care about Metacritic, so they can pick and choose who gets review scores. People will be more inclined to give them positive reviews, to get codes, to then get them to review them. I don't like that. That's why one of the reasons why I respect Last Stand Media as much as I like to publicly crap on Colin Moriarty, even though I like the guy, but just for the source topics, they are independent. Although he's been lucky, he's been IGN and blah blah. There's a legacy there, but at the very least, they are independent. They do not rely on game codes, and we got game codes for Halo, but that didn't stop me from being critical. But there's a topic there, no? Husk, what do you think about the topic of Stevivor not getting a code from PlayStation to review this? Is Sony okay? Is it their right?
Yeah, it is. At the end of the day, now listen. At the end of the day, the one behind the screen sending out the codes and the people behind him making decisions are the ones that ultimately decide who gets to do what with their games. And if they don't, like, it sucks. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's right necessarily, but I'm just saying it's not. You can be up in arms all you want. It's not your decision. It's not your business. It's not your marketing plan. It's not your approach to how you want something perceived or who you want it, whose hands you want it in. It's not up to us. It's not up to anybody but the people behind the scenes. And that's their choice. Yes, it's their business, their company. So ultimately it's their choice. they can segregate whoever they want. They might get a lot of backlash for it, but at the end of the day, it is their choice.
No, that's a fair point, no, Hargeet. That's their choice. They're private. They can give the codes to whoever they want. There may be backlash, Husk says, but what's your take on that?
So the problem with this is that they create, as far as media, they create a problem where are the reviews just inflated? And this has been an issue for people who aren't Sony fanboys to say, well, okay, if you're only going to give your codes to people who will give you 9s and 10s, well, are you influencing 9s and 10s? What if somebody thought really it was an 8 or a 7.5, but Sony won't give me codes, I'll make it a 9? Well, you've essentially shot yourself in the foot, right? So at this point, anybody who's like not a Sony fanboy is going to say every score is baloney. I don't believe you. Right, this is automatically inflated, and they're just putting it in themselves, right? So, Xbox could have done the same thing, right? They're a big ass company that totally controls a lot of media. They absolutely do. They could have done the same. They did not. Okay, because it's fair. Let the media be the media. Let them tell you what they think. It's up to them, right? Just make games that people like. Fair enough. There are going to be people who don't like your games. That's the way it is, right? So there is I think Asa, you were saying Stevivor has this bias towards Xbox. Maybe they just like Xbox games. Is that a possibility? I mean, it is real. People might like one platform over the other because the games they offer might tend to just be games they like, right? That happens, right? So, I
like this new member of GameOnDaily.
So I think this is a terrible decision from Sony's perspective. But, again, to your point, Husk, it's their choice. They can do whatever they want. They are a private company. They can choose to do whatever they like.
Nonetheless, though. I agree with you.
So, but from an industry perspective, I think this is atrocious. It's atrocious. They should not play favorites. They should not say, no, I'm only going to give it to you if you give me a 9 or 10. That just destroys the whole purpose.
Yeah. What do you say about that, Asa?
No, that's fair enough. I mean, there's a lot of people in chat as well saying that the graphic that went around showing their bias was very much cherry-picked. And I can definitely believe that because it's been going around Twitter and that's how people are on there. So it is quite possible that they've been giving loads of Sony games really good scores. The thing that Sony don't have any power over, though, is Stevivor can still review that game. So eventually they're going to get it. They're going to get the version that has the microtransactions in it that none of the reviewers had.
Yep.
And they're going to put their score up. So it's not a winning move from Sony by any stretch. If they're thinking it's going to help their overall review scores, not. They're just going to hate you that little bit more if they did already.
That's exactly what I thought. They were going to hate you a little bit more now that you've done that, and they seemed really bitter about it, the way they've got their treatment. They're still on Metacritic, and I saw some fanboys saying, oh, well done, Sony. Now let's get them removed from Metacritic. You think I'm not going to come for you. The microtransaction fiasco is a great point, though. God. A $70 game, or £70, whatever, full-price game that has microtransactions, fine, but it's not my birthday, but it's the fact that the microtransactions got released and dropped and announced on the day the game came out after the reviews. Naughty PlayStation. They won't give review copies to the people they are worried will review their games critically, and on top of that, they're giving microtransactions. That's another narrative destroyed in your popular racing game. And to make it worse, the pricing is way more. I think costs like 5 times more, something like that. More, or 3 times more, double the price, whatever it is. One of those multipliers applies compared to Gran Turismo Sport. And
I got some examples if you want them.
Go for it.
All right, check this out. So in Gran Turismo Sport, you could purchase vehicles with real money from 99 cents to $4.99. This game, I mean, there's going to be some, but like for instance, the big cars, like let's go with this Porsche 919 hybrid. Okay, you used to be able to get it for $299 in Gran Turismo Sport, but now costs 3 million credits. Okay, which is $40 for a drivable in-game car.
What?
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah.
To get 1 million credits, you can't just buy it outright. You have to buy 750,000 credits, and then 250,000 credits cost you $15 when you could just add 5 to it and get 2 million credits.
Ooh.
I've also heard, I don't know, I've read a few people saying that there's a potential for like $200 cars. This was like pre-release, like literally cars in this game that you'll be able to buy that cost $200 worth of credits.
The game also allows you to go straight to the manufacturer of said car maker and put a deposit down for an actual car from their maker. Advertising, eh? Is that okay? Is that natural? There's maybe no wonder why car makers love Gran Turismo so much. But wow, that's taking the piss. That is some really bad pricing, Hargeet. What do you what do you say to that? That's not just me being saucy. Yeah. Come on, man. That's surely.
Look, there's two ways to look at this, right? There's the reality of, hey, it's a company, they're going to try to make money, and if people are willing to pay it, they're going to charge it, right? So that's just the way it is, right? So if it doesn't work, hey, they'll cut it back, right? Yeah. But if it does work, and it likely will, they're going to keep charging this kind of money, right? So that's just the way it is. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is, right? There's a lot of games that do this, but they generally are free to play, so at least you have some offset, right? Whereas in this case, you're paying a premium $70 cost, and then you're going to be paying these massive amounts. But hey, this is the world we're in now. So I'm not going to fault them for trying. It is, right? Things will never be the same. Yep. So I'm not going to fault them for doing this. It's a business after all, right? And so yes, it is kind of annoying, I guess. You can look at this from the Sony fanboy perspective, where they're like, "Oh, Xbox only puts out games with microtransactions." Well, sorry, you guys have those too, right? But it's a company; they're going to do what makes them money, right? They've already said, "Hey, that whatever they're selling on PlayStation isn't enough. We're going to go with PC." Why do you think they're doing that? Because they want money. That's just the way it is. They're a business; they're going to want money. This is a way to make money, and if they can bump it up, they will bump it up. And if they're
going to get away with it, people are going to buy it.
Yep, that's literally it. If people say nope, we're not touching this, then it'll go away, right? But that never has happened. It has always been successful.
Mom, raise my allowance.
Yep, literally it.
I need a new car in GT7.
Yep, and that's what'll happen.
That's kind of accurate of what will happen. Asa, isn't it the fact that this game is 70 quid and is charging these really high microtransactions really taking the piss then?
It's a shame for me that we've not found anyone that's like, oh, I like microtransactions. They're optional. You don't have to get them. Just play the game and all that. The kind of arguments that you hear from people. We've got no one putting that forwards for me to tear down and utterly destroy, which is a shame.
MBG. Sorry. Yeah.
He backtracked on that actually and said, actually, no, I don't like them, which is fair enough.
Because Rookie in chat, it found out his old 2019 tweet. Shout out Rookie. I retweeted it and everyone found it. If he didn't get caught, I'm sorry, MBG. I've invited you on here before, but you did. He did backtrack on it and respect him. But had he not got caught, he would have got away with it.
Yeah. But the people that do say that, like, it's optional, and some people don't have time to grind and all that. Do you remember when Gran Turismo came out? It came on 2 discs. You had the Gran Turismo mode and you had the arcade mode. For people that didn't have time to grind or the desire to grind and play through the big campaign, you could just go into arcade mode and pick the cars that you wanted and have a race. Anybody, please tell me how we're better off with microtransactions to buy cars if we haven't got time. How those people that have got less time should pay more for the experience rather than just have a mode in there for them. Please.
Yeah.
It's bad. Yeah. I'm one of the few people in the whole Game Pass conversation. I've said frequently over and over again, just keep an eye on it. Microsoft are going to be monetizing these games. Sony's price increase isn't great, but if it preserves the Spider-Man experience, maybe it's worth it. And now they've gone and done this. It's like, nah.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's immediately what I was thinking of. That whole Spider-Man type of full-fledged Sony experience has now. This is not a small game. It's Gran Turismo, and that argument is dead. And you've seen PlayStation go ahead now. Live services literally on the forefront of their discourse with gamers and their announcements and what they want to do, and they spent $3 billion on buying Bungie for just that and 10 live service games. The writing's on the wall. Xbox got it for years for this, rightly or wrongly.
I'm not finished. I'm not finished.
Okay.
I just want to say, because I see people like mentioning the whole it's optional, you can grind for them. I need to point out. Do you remember? Probably not. I don't. But like 80s and 90s, games lived and died by that moment-to-moment gameplay. That's what a video game was. You'd do it. You'd fire up Gallagher or Street Fighter, and you'd be like, "Great! In this moment, it's fantastic." But games have evolved so far beyond that they have a meta game now within it. They have progression and reward systems. And as soon as you have a good progression and reward system and you say, or go and do an hour or two of work in the real world, it's much quicker than playing the game, you ruin the meta game. So yes, it hurts people that don't want to pay as well. It hurts the meta game for Gran Turismo. I'm mad about it. Right?
Yeah.
I don't like to see it. So I've not bought the game.
Okay. Oh, taking a stance there. I'll probably end up buying the game because I'm a whore for microtransactions, but really, you really explained that really well. The whole metagame being about this new, not the best grind element in gaming, but for it to be relegated to spend this much money and get it and work extra hours in real life or raise your allowance like Husk's mum hopefully will. It's kind of, well, that narrative has died. And I think it's really worse still that Sony did this. It's a bit dodgy that you release the microtransactions the day you release the game after the reviews. Are the reviews defective?
Microsoft invented that
Should
strategy, by the way. Just to put it out there, like the whole delaying microtransactions, that was a Microsoft strategy. They actually did it with the Forza game. They delayed them by 2 or 3 months because they were getting torn apart in other reviews for microtransactions. So as we're like being neutral,
fair.
They're both guilty of that one.
That's true. That's true. And they should both get flagged. In fact, I kind of remember that with Forza. Not good. But ultimately, despite all the controversies and stuff, the game has reviewed well. I saw a lot of people see 88 on Metacritic, went to 87, then back to 88 or whatever. And they were like, finally, the king of racers, Forza's defeated. A 5-year-old game that actually visually still holds its weight comparatively. What? Guys, you haven't even played it, but I have eyes. I can see Digital Foundry. One day Asa will do a tech analysis when he's lifted his embargo against Gran Turismo, but I don't think it's that visually. In terms of visuals, chat, be real. Especially if you've played Gran Turismo, do you think the visuals are good enough? Because at one point, Gran Turismo games were the peak of visual fidelity. And I'm going to ask my friend Hargeet, come on, bro, let's talk about it. Because my view is the game doesn't look bad. It looks nice. Yeah. It doesn't look as nice as Gran Turismo games used to look like before Sport. Every time they came in, like Husk said, there was a big jump when they were coming in. They were the visual benchmark. Even I think Forza's games, while they overtook it, looked a little bit less realistic. But here, I am not that impressed.
Yeah, and we haven't even seen what Forza Motorsport 8 or whatever the new version is going to be, and that one's really going to take advantage of the new systems, right? And hopefully DX12 as well on the PC side. Yeah, I mean, look, Forza kind of took over a while ago, and the ultimate answer to that is, even the Gran Turismo team went over and saw what Forza was doing about 10 years ago to see how they can make their games better, right? So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? They recognize that they have to compete, and that's why we like this, right? We want 2 massive franchises competing, right? So have they met the bar? Maybe they have, maybe they haven't, but we haven't even seen the full entry that's coming, right? This is a circuit racer, not an open world racer that Forza Horizon is. So it's really unfair to even compare the two. But we will get that. We will get the new next gen Forza, right? It'll come, and we get to see it hopefully this year. And so we'll get to see what it really will look like. And we hope it will, blow us away. But that is where we are, right? So and then it's up to Sony. It's up to them to get better and make it even better for their next entry. So
it's funny that you talk about next entry. Lamarcus Doss says GT7 looks stunning. I'm sure it does. And I was talking to Mike, not talking to Mike. He tweeted about this, and it looks really nice. So I don't want to downplay the visual quality of it, especially if I haven't actually gone hands-on with it. But generally, I do think, like, based on we can see the gameplay, it does look good. Typically, the game always looks good in replay mode, especially where the ray tracing is actually enabled. If Forza does come out with ray tracing in game and it works, I don't know whether it will work like that, and it doesn't affect the performance, which this game's performance, by the way, Digital Foundry have uncovered dips to sometimes 40s in rain and stuff. That's not good for a track racer. Should not be dipping below 60 at all, let alone even hitting 40 frames. That's not good enough. Whereas Forza, which looks in many ways more visually stunning, I'll be honest with you, even for an open racer, there were moments that just we thought were real life.
That's weird that it dips.
It dips, like, well, that's
simulation. I don't know. It's something they've been really good with optimizing it. Like, they've been doing it for a long time.
I know, that's the thing, and that's why it makes it worse. They've been optimizing it with PlayStation tech that the tools or the dev environment has been static or the same as the last gen. Why is this dipping under 60? I don't know how widespread the problem is, but they did come across it, and 40 at any time is really bad. Will Forza even hit a solid 60 with ray tracing? I have no idea. I have some questions around that, whether how it will even implement that, but generally not good. But generally people are saying in some bits, someone in chat said it looks real, and in replay mode and
sampling probably.
Yeah. So it does look amazing in this what you're playing, but this is cockpit mode. It always looks amazing cockpit and replay mode, which they always tactically play. But that's Gran Turismo. Do check it out. Just have an open mind about it. But yeah, there is no ray tracing in the races themselves. You're right, original next level gaming. One game that has been dominating, continuously dominates the space. We talked about it last week, but it's a game that is becoming like a watershed moment in this generation already, even though we're only 2 years in. Elden Ring is dominating. Right now, it has 950,000 concurrent players. 950,000 for a game that is very hard. Hi, Rand. Did you end your show? That's great. Rand did a show earlier today, and he says it was for me, and I'll just take that as thank you, Rand. But before we actually go into that, I have to read the super chats. So super chat time. Shab is inevitable. Thank you so much for the £2. He goes, Babylon's 4 is game of the year, and congrats, Hargeet. He's congratulating Hargeet for joining the GameOnDaily family.
Thank you.
Can we talk about that? Oh, what was there to say? Babylon's 4, we said it was going to be crap, didn't we? It looked weird, and just a few days or weeks after Crossfire X and Xbox third-party exclusive sucks and Babylon 4 comes out, and Ace is like, you're such a child, Gaz. Why are you like this?
I'm laughing. I'm wondering if people still want to see Scalebound after that, because this is Platinum's first 4-player co-op game. Do you still want Scalebound from them?
Great question. Do you still want Scalebound? We decided, we talked about it in the show a few weeks ago, right? Most people in chat were like, nah, and that is a great example of Huggy dropping another code. Oh, she's so generous. Yeah, so Babylon's 4 looks like shite. I want to but its Metacritic is pretty bad, and that's why Platinum are like, buy us out, please. There you are. Well, have you seen this, Huggy? The scores and the gameplay for it. What do you think about Babylon's 4 in chat? Let me know. Do you still want them to be bought? That was a great question from Mesa.
No, I haven't even looked at it, so I don't know what the heck it's about. What?
That says it all. Like,
mediocre is the word I saw.
Yeah.
That's the word.
That's the word.
Cynical was the word that I saw for it. Cynical? Service grind, yeah. I've not played it. I've not positioned to say what's good and bad about it, but yeah, apparently it's live service in the worst way that you can do live service. So.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. PlayStation had exclusivity on that, and it's not a good look for them as much as Crossfire X wasn't a good look for Xbox. It's just really bad. But Platinum, yeah. But thanks so much for that super chat. Also, Jay the Earp, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Is Forza 8 using the same engine as Horizon 5? No, I've heard conflicting answers. Also, rest in peace to Stalker 2 for now, at least. We'll get into that. That's a brand new engine. It's nothing to do with Forza Horizon 5, no, Issa?
It is a new engine, or a new iteration of the engine for Forza Motorsport 8. There's lots of questions about whether or not Turn 10 will be able to deliver ray tracing during the game there. I'll just say that if anybody can, it is that studio. If anybody's going to throughout this generation.
That high regard?
Microsoft held them in that high regard. That's their proof of concept studio. That's... Like, we've got DirectX 12 now. The very first thing that we're ever going to show is Forza Motorsport running on it. And they do this for everything. We've got machine learning in the works. Look how it upscales this Forza car. Turn 10 do everything that Microsoft are pushing like on the cutting edge. So if any game this generation is going to do ray tracing in game in the way that people are hoping that Forza does, it will be that game. So, which isn't to say that it definitely will, because ray tracing on these consoles, we've not seen a lot that's promising, but Turn 10 are the one.
Turn 10 are the one, chat. That's pretty impressive. I think you talked about this before, but it kind of hit me now that's the studio, that's the tech. Because I thought you said Coalition were the ones.
Coalition and Turn 10. I've always said, the two of them. So the Coalition, I would say second to Turn 10 in terms of putting things out. But yeah, those are the two studios that Microsoft test and prove things with.
Turn 10 should have access to all the proper next
tools,
gen bells and whistles, like all the tools, everything should be able to be used, I would assume, by the time they drop.
And they also exude a lot of confidence in their interviews. It comes across really well. Like they
should.
You can tell when someone's bullshitting you, and they don't do that. That's got me excited. And I like to see also what the game will do, because it seems like they're trying to fundamentally change the formula after releasing good games, but they basically got fatigue. I think the franchise suffered from fatigue, even though it was good quality-wise, critically, and I feel like they want to do something different. And also, maybe there's a big element of pride in racing. If you've seen F1, shout out to Dealer for telling me to watch that on Netflix, great show. But you see a lot of pride in racing generally, anyway, in the culture, and in the games. Even in the games. And for game manufacturers, racing games doing well is very, very high in the pecking order of that pride. And I think Turn 10, if you watch their interviews, and I won't go into it too long, but yeah, they really want to go hard on it. So you might see like a GT Academy-esque approach to maybe more realism, at the same time balancing out with accessibility. But yeah, no, interesting. Splendiferous, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. That was dirty what you did to Fonz, Asa. You should behave. He's right. How dare you? How dare you? There was another game someone mentioned, Stalker 2. Sorry, yeah. So Stalker 2 is on hold pretty much indefinitely until the Ukraine-Russia thing fizzles out, if hopefully sooner rather than later. That's escalating. Pretty crazy stuff going on there. Shout out to the teams and families affected by that. So yeah, and I think there are a few other games in that region that understandably just have their development halted. Philippe, thank you so much for the 2 rupees. Can't be 2 rupees. Super chat. Happy birthday, Gaz. Stop being toxic, Colt. Don't you dare change, Colt. I finally sculpted you into becoming saucy. But thank you so much. It's not my birthday. Boba Fett Gaming, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Someone's got to make up for Hargeet on the panel. Great stuff. Thank you, Boba Fett, for that. And I think I missed a super chat. Oh yeah, Boba Fett, that was you as well. Thank God I scrolled up a little bit. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Never thought I'd see the day the latest Gran Turismo title would be compared to a 5-year-old Forza title. Sony is compromising on quality already. that's more on the fanboys rather than Sony, I would say. But at the same time, I still think visually they're comparable. I think Forza looks better. That's all. Thank you. Shout out, by the way, to 237 people watching. Smash that like button. Smash it. Just do it. Algorithm likes it, maybe doesn't like it. I don't know. If you're enjoying it, smash it. If you don't enjoy it, don't do anything. Accessibility in gaming is a topic I want to touch because Elden Ring has been killing it. Elden Ring has been killing it. I've been loving it. Everyone party chat's loving it. Apart from Hargeet, he does not like that game. But the game is generally okay. But there's this dialogue, and I want to be serious with you, Chad, about accessibility in gaming. And there's just been quite fiery discussions, some immature ones, some really shocking comments on things like this. Because with accessibility, you've got disabled gamers who quite naturally want accessibility. Then the topic of difficulty in games gets melded in with that. And we had Sifu was a recent example of a game. Stop saying it's not my birthday. But it's definitely something I want to have a serious discussion about here. How do we tackle this point? Steve Saylor, who I don't know what his credentials are, but he's quite big in this space. I think he's I should know that. I've seen him on something. But he's legally blind, so obviously he's visually impaired. And he said, I've sadly requested a refund for Elden Ring because the lack of accessibility for him scuppers his chance of enjoying the game. And he says the toxic Souls fanboys I had to deal with, I've had enough. And I haven't watched this video, but he talks about it in a way more than just, he says, when I'm talking about accessibility, it's a lot more than just an easy mode. So that's a different thing. So, people need to be careful about, get good. The get good, I get it. And I'll have some saucy takes on this. But I want to talk to more reasonable, less fiery, emotionally damaged people than me. Let's change the pace a bit. Asa, talk to me about accessibility in gaming. Sifu got raked through the coals by some people, but saying it's too hard. And I think I'm hearing the developers are bringing an easy mode, which I think is horrible. And Elden Ring is a difficult game, very hard. By the way, I completed Bloodborne. I didn't think it was that hard compared to this game. And Mizuyaki, Asa, I'm going to leave you with this. He says hardship is what gives meaning to the experience. Go, Asa.
Why do you think that I'm not emotionally damaged more so than you? I'm emotionally damaged. Leave me alone.
After the screenshot he sent me the other day, I'd say so. You look so bummed out and grumpy.
That's
wow, what you said
most of the time, yeah. It's difficult. The conversation is like, obviously no one in their right mind is going to sit here and say that accessibility is bad and games shouldn't cater to more people. I think a lot of people are taking a kind of easy route, distancing that from an easy mode, because there's this new narrative that they're not related at all. Like, we want accessibility without an easy mode. Actually, an easy mode is a big part of an accessibility conversation as well. It just is. Mm-hmm. And that's also not to say that every game needs to have it. Sifu is actually the perfect example of a game that I don't feel needs to have it, because Sifu is tiny, and if you take away the learning curve, it's just not a game anymore. You'll be through it in 10 minutes with an easy mode. So I can understand, they're actually putting some kind of easy mode in, but I can understand their reluctance too, because it does kind of destroy their design. Elden Ring,
sorry,
it's a bit strange because I see so many people talk about how besting a boss is like the greatest feeling for them. They feel a sense of accomplishment. And I look at that and wonder what's up with those people, because I don't feel that. If I beat a boss in Elden Ring, it's like I did a game that was designed to be beaten. I don't feel that much about it. People feel really strongly the sense of accomplishment from beating something, and I just don't get that at all myself. But Elden Ring is huge. Elden Ring, for me, you could put an easy mode in there, open up the audience, and there's still a hell of a game. And I don't see who it harms.
Nobody.
I get Miyazaki saying, like, challenge is part of the appeal. It makes it feel more worthwhile what you're doing, but he's created such a huge world, which unfortunately everybody is spoiling all over Twitter. Discovery for me
Yeah.
is every bit as much a part of that game as challenge, if not more. It's huge. There's so much to see and do. Let people do it. For me, anyway.
That's a fair point. I'm a bit conflicted on this point. What's your take on that, Husk?
Well, let's just start with any game, whether it's built to be hard and challenging or not. Having an easy mode does not affect the average or normal player base that would play these games. Let's just, seriously, be honest for a second with yourself. If you think otherwise and you think that it has to just be what it is, if it's not drastically hard for them to implement what would technically fit into the accessibility mode or accessibility options portion of a game, if it's not hard for them to put that mode out there, is it really going to take away from your experience? Because you're not going to play it on that mode anyway. It's not. You lose nothing. You lose nothing by that mode being there unless you're the one that chooses to play it. It does nothing it doesn't damage your experience or anything because you have the choice. Life's about choices. The game has the choice. It's up to you whether or not you choose it, but it opens the door for so many more people to experience your game.
Definitely.
If you want to play it right, you play it right. That's
definitely
it. You
take that on board. It doesn't take away from the people who will, but I will say some. Go on.
I just counter example, and that's like, despite being entirely on your side there, and I agree with you, but counter example is people don't always do what's best for them, and sometimes the path of least resistance is there. If you've got, say, you're playing Elden Ring, and you're really struggling with the boss, and you've got a toggle in there to just make it easier for the sake of that boss. You do that, you beat the boss, you move on. Maybe you do have a lesser experience in that game. You look at like World of Warcraft as an example, and the raiding that they had in there, and the fact that they had to go back to classic mode. They introduced convenience feature after convenience feature. They made it easier to group up with people. They added an easier raid difficulty that toned down the boss's health and mechanics so that people could experience the game. And people did it because it was there. It was easy to do. So people go and do it. And then 5 years later, they're like, I miss World of Warcraft. It's not what it used to be. This looking for raid has destroyed it. So there is an argument that putting an easy mode in can... People won't necessarily choose what's best for them.
Yeah.
But I say that as someone who's on your side.
Yes. It's still that person's choice, and that it's still based on choice. And yes, all right. So I agree with you. Don't get me wrong, but still, at the end of the day, if you could go out and get a job. Or you could stay in your mom's basement for the rest of your life because she pays your bill and doesn't, you could live off them for the rest of your life, or you get the hell out of your house and go get your own place. It's still a choice. That's just my thought on it. Like, I'm not going to go, I will never go pick I will never choose something because it's easier. That's just how I am. Like, I won't do it. It's choice. It's still, I don't know. It's based on choice.
Before I piss everyone off with my opinion, Hargeet, what's your take on that? Because both gents make great points.
Yeah, I mean, so I think we have to get to a point of maturity of understanding games should be accessible for more people, right? So the Xbox philosophy, 3 billion players, right? That really does mean everybody, right? That's casual all the way through hardcore. If we want to get to that level, then games need to have to start adopting this idea that there are going to be people who just can't do the hardcore thing, and that's fair. Some game developers are like, you know what? No, this is my thing. It's going to be also for hardcore, choice, right? It's their choice, and that's fair, fine, right? But the more you want this medium to become expanded to everybody, you're going to have to offer options where people can, there's legitimate actual disabilities, right? And those folks need help. Fine, we should offer capabilities to do that. And then there are just people who are like, I don't have the requisite skill set to do this game, right?
Yeah.
But I want to experience what George R.R. Martin did, right? And I can't, right? And that's kind of another area of this. I agree with Asa Sifu. The entire purpose of the game is learn the mechanics, otherwise you're running through it. Fair enough, right? At that point, it's up to the developer to say, do I want this or not? And in that case, they're saying, yeah, we're going to put in an easy mode. Fair. It's up to them to choose, right? And somebody might choose to say, I'm going to play that and run through it in 20 minutes and I'm done, right? And maybe not get the essence of that game. But I think that kind of it is a give and take. But if we want this industry to expand and not be, I'm like the hardcore gamer image that we seem to have, that's what's going to happen, right? So it's got to be accessible for the average person, and they'll enjoy the experience at their level. And look, Halo, I decided to start Legendary, right? Solo Legendary. That's hard. Of course it's hard, but that's the point, right? But I know, hey, the experience can be easier if I just choose to make it, a lower difficulty. That's on me, right? They give me the option. You can choose whichever way you want to go, right? So I think choice is good, right?
Yeah.
But I totally leave it to the developer. It is their choice. What they want to put out is theirs, right? It's up to them. I would recommend a company like this think about it, right? Because, maybe Dark Souls were niche. This is not niche. This is sold really well. This is going to be a big game. It's a huge 97 meta. It's no joke, right? So it's on them to then say, okay, how do we react to that? Right. And because there are going to be more players that are going to say, well, I want to play this, but I just can't get into it. What do I do? Right. And maybe you just say, no, you got to suffer through it. But I think a better answer would be find a way to give them something. Right. But that's, again, on them. Right. So From can come up with whatever they like.
Yeah. No. But all fair takes on that. Very, very fair takes. And then there's my take. I've hated the word accessibility in gaming, and that's just not in the vein you're talking about here. I'm talking about accessibility in gaming for the masses, and that normally means dumbing down a game's mechanics,
as opposed to visibility features, button mapping, stuff like that, right?
Stuff like that. But also, like, Battlefield is a good example of, they wanted to make it more accessible, which means take away more features that would more map control and all this, just bog it down, make it simpler. World of Warcraft did that. It made it simpler, removed a lot of those tools everyone thought it was a lot very it was a bit
just to help you out. The word that people are using more often now is approachable for what you're getting at. Accessible is kind of used specifically for the disability conversation. Approachable is more. I'm not against. I'm not against the word accessibility when it comes to disabilities. What the hell? Thank you for saving me there. That's a different thing. I think I said this last week on our show. Accessibility I think we don't do enough for disabled gamers. I kind of find that I said this last week, that the fact that the Xbox accessibility controller, which is great, but that's the only thing. I feel like the gaming industry should have evolved a little bit beyond that, and one day we'll see games like hooked into our brain, so we're all in the level playing field for those who are disabled. And I genuinely mean that. I will think about that. But not I'm talking about disabled gamers. We know, like Cerebral Paul, for instance. He's got cerebral palsy, as you can tell from his name, and he's had people tell him, like, get good. I'm like, what the flip? Do you not understand? The guy's got cerebral palsy. Not like that. But in terms of
those people.
What was the word? Not accessible. Approachability, right? Approachability shit. In terms of the game design, one thing I will say, like Husk, you were saying, it's an option. I find that the creator's vision is paramount. I think you should respect that. And I think for instance, my nightmare, I could see it like this. Sifu don't want to make it easy because one reviewer is going to play on easy mode that defeats the spirit of the game. Miyazaki talks about that game. The hardships in the game are woven into the experience. You respect every encounter in that game because it's hard. I do. I know for a fact I do. I was playing it last night, and these grotesque figures with baby faces and wings, whatever it was in Elden Ring, normally they would like low-level mob, but they can just turn on you, and the game's difficulty has a massive impact. I get it. Elden Ring's world is so beautiful. Part of me wants everyone to just see it. But in order to experience it, the sense of trepidation in every area I go to is compounded by the fact that the game difficulty reminds me to take this game world seriously. And if you start impose it an easy mode, I think it dilutes the Elden Ring experience. I don't want an easy mode like that. That could completely take away from the spirit of the game. And if and I get it, like if someone said, well, Gaz, you're telling me I'm not skilled enough. You're saying I can't play the game. I'm not allowed to experience the game world. And I'm a bit conflicted there because I'm like, I want you to play it. Just like I want you to play Quake 3 in my clan, but you suck, get good. I remember most in the Quake 3. Shout out to the arena shooter squads who didn't have all this easy stuff. We learned how to play that game, Quake 3. We need arena shooters like that. But I get it, the spirit of the game. I am really for the content creators as much as I am for gamers. I think it's deeper than that. But when the chap who's legally blind, what's his name? He was talking about it. He wasn't talking about it from a difficulty perspective. If he's legally blind, he may be talking, and I have to watch this video. His name is Steve Saylor. Yeah, like blind mode, like color blind mode, things like that, guidance and in the way the game is designed for like blind people or people who have, you know, visual impairments or other manner of difficulties, feedback, and loads of things you can do. Definitely games need to evolve. I think they really need to do more than that. Game industry is a little bit behind on that. But, you know, part of the Get Good squad is toxic. I saw some really toxic takes on it, but I will say I hate this coddling kind of thing. I don't want that to dilute the spirit of the game. And someone in chat said, where were you? You made a good little quote there. It's Gameplato who said there should be a game for every gamer, but not every game is for every gamer. And there's so many games in this space. So yeah, I mean,
it's never going to happen that way. I can tell you right now that the world is shifting, not just in the gaming industry, everywhere, dude. It's just, it's got you. You might as well just start working on stuff like this now. It's not gonna stop. You're only gonna get more and more uprising from almost everybody. I mean, especially people on X position and as opposed to Y position. Like there's starting to be less and less of a dividing line from between any portion of the community. It's going away, and they have I mean, as much as like I get what you're saying, but it doesn't dilute the experience for you, you know. And maybe this reviewer plays it on easy mode or with whatever accessibility option to make it easier to play, and he gives it a shit review because of it. But if you played it on hard mode, he'd give it a shit review too. So his opinion really doesn't matter.
No, you wouldn't. He might not, because the game fundamentally transforms if it's got that easy mode. Like the encounter is different. Sifu is a good example. Yeah. Sifu, basically, you feel like you're learning kung fu at the end of it with the timing of the chi.
Never learned anything in your life. But like Sifu is a good example of that. But like Elden Ring, though, like the particular game of the moment, Elden Ring's become a cultural phenomenon, and the fear of missing out for people is huge. So I actually agree. I don't think an easier mode suits Sifu. Elden Ring, Miyazaki doesn't have to make it. He's got a team. He can design his vision exactly as he intends and just ask someone else to go and do that bit. Where's the problem?
What do you mean, what bit? What design what bit? Like,
tweak it, make it easier for the people that don't play games as much, that don't want the Souls-like experience. Because he's made a massive world. There's tons to discover in there.
I mean, if it's just about discoverability, then shouldn't those people just watch a YouTube video? I mean... It's just, I don't know. I'm just conflicted about it. It's very deep. I'm not sitting on either. I'm trying. Generally, my gut instinct is telling you what I'm saying. The spirit of a content creator, but it's deep. I don't know.
So one of the things, Gaz, is you've mentioned most of the games that need to have better difficulty, they've been multiplayer. And if you're going to look at multiplayer, I totally get you there, because that is person against person. Most of the skill gap there is actually people, right? And you have to be able to compete with people. In a single player experience, though, I don't know if it really matters, right? So if that health bar takes 400 hits instead of it takes 200 hits, is that going to change the game? Not really. It just might make it It just might make it a little bit more, available to those who don't want to sit there and be as patient. Fair enough. And people are different. It is what it is. And so somebody might say, like, I would like to be able to kill this person in 20 minutes instead of 800 minutes and say, like,
yeah,
hey, it is what it is, right? So
I like where you're going with this. There's more than one way to implement features, even accessibility features that make situations even. Scaling. There you go. Scaling a situation or a game as a whole. Just by as much as increasing your health stats or damage stats even, or like less buttons to push even to do said action. I don't know.
I mean, Halo's like a great example of like scale whatever you like, or you want to put on the legendary skulls and everything and then go crazy, fine, do it, right? And it becomes really challenging. But if you don't, if that's not your pace, no problem. We can cut it back. The enemies aren't that crazy anymore, and you can get through the story, right? So,
yeah. But I do think there's a reason why these Soulsborne games are popular, and their difficulty is linked to their quality and their appeal.
Well, that's why they have pretty much their own subgenre of they're their own thing, and like games that are like them get compared to them. They're their own thing, and that's what makes them what they are.
The summons are an accessibility feature, BFG says, which makes me realize I use that to beat Margit in the game. So here's me pretending to be all good, and then I use the feature. But that didn't feel like cheat. But that's a good example. Yeah. Better. There's a smarter way to implement scale difficulty. I'm sure there is. Yep. And game devs need to probably look into that. It's been a good conversation on that. Hey, chat. See, look, mix of views, but it's not straightforward as Twitter commentary on this is. You got get good versus no, just give me this mode, and I think there's a lot there. Someone said clip Margit's easy, get the hell out of it. Oh, Jean-Marc Louis, sorry, just spat everywhere. Forza is king. Source recipe book page 4, Parables of Source, he's saying there. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Boba Fett Gaming, oh shit. Oh, you know what? I need to go hard. Boba Fett, thank you for becoming a member. We haven't had one for a while, so I'm gonna reduce the reverb, and welcome to the GameOnDaily family. Press the censor button by mistake. Thank you so much for being a member, man, and for your support. It means a lot, Boba Fett. Someone else become a member so I can use their altitude again. I'm desperate. I'm yearning to use this altitude. Bernard Hayes, shout out from South Africa, mate. Let's the source flow. I can only do one thing in South Africa, and I killed it last week, so I'm not going to do that again. Thank you so much for the ZAR 35. Whatever that is. South African money. Yodani, shout out for being a member for 6 months. He says, where does Kazakhstan stand on the console wars? What kind of question is that? I see some are happy to know that Stalker is getting delayed. A non-tarnished Habibi must know. I mean, that's just dumb. I mean, console war is one thing, but real war is another. You shouldn't conflate the two things. Console war, even the term war and console war is a bit silly. We're talking about pieces of plastic, not real life things. You're done. Not all our members are sound mind. I'm just kidding, you're done. Glenn, so thank you so much for the $5 super chat. If a gym or sports club said, we have a vision and you don't meet our standards, get good, then you can join. It would be called discriminatory. I think the purpose of the gym is to get people to get fit, and if they're already fit, then what's the point of the gym? But if it's a boxing gym, I've been to a boxing gym and they'll laugh you out of the door. Not me, they didn't laugh me out the door because I just sat there and didn't actually get involved because those people are crazy. But then they're not going to let you sit there and go, oh yeah, go and do your little boxing thing. Okay, we'll accommodate you. No, that real life is a little bit rawer than that. But that's not my take on that. Anyway, Games Lord, thank you so much for the HRK 10. Beaten Survivor and the last one, Grounded is murdering me. Beat Survivor, I assume, is a difficulty mode in The Last of Us, and the game Grounded is killing him. And I'm sure there's something in there, and chat has gone mad with some random bots. So yeah, now we've talked about
really don't like
game
not being able to
difficulty.
give them the boot. I'm used to our chat. I go to click
yeah.
on it, and all I can do is reports.
I'm sorry, you have no power here.
Click them links all you want.
That's why we're so slow to reacting to webcams.chat.com. Hot
No,
girls and
guys, don't
boys video
advertise
chat.
it.
Oh,
made
sorry.
that
So yeah, I shouldn't be advertising the bots spamming my
Type that
channel.
into your Google search bar real quick.
Yeah, please
Thank
don't.
you very much.
This week, not today. This week, you see, chat, a lot of our viewers, based on we look at the like and dislike ratio and the ratio of people who came at me, and you're gonna find this topic really uncomfortable, but it's sometimes nice to be vindicated, after being repeatedly being treated like the pariah in the community for my stance on Halo Infinite. It's that time again. It wouldn't be a Go Live show without me absolutely on this game, but I have good reason to be. Halo Infinite frustration has mounted beyond what some of us early oracles had predicted quite some time ago. Now it's seeping into the masses, including the heart. Am I auto-tuned? No, I'm not. My voice just went that high. I thought I was auto-tuned. But frustration is mounting. Halo fans, even the core fans, are now finally decided to have a backbone and be pissed off about it. 343 have announced their new, roadmap, and they've talked about their updates, and the updates have not gone down well, or what they're supposed to be doing. Namely, Campaign Network Co-op, which is now going to be 4-player, great news, won't be available at the start of Season 2. Oh, what a surprise! What a surprise! And also they talked about their microtransaction stuff, and then there's a whole amazing, how many months has it been? It's been like 3-4 months, and how many maps are you going to get? 2! 2 maps. You guys have killed my soul. I was right. And of course I was right, because this is my flagship title. I don't want to be right on this. It's not like I did not know it was going to be like this bad. Let's be honest. Chat, you know what? You don't want to hear my voice in it. I know it's annoying, but I was right. Husk, you know what? I see you always being annoyed at my little takes on Halo, but I was right. Just say it, Husk.
That's just because I fucking hate when someone bashes my favorite franchise. Like, it makes me angry, even if they're right. So I take it on you. See, I can censor myself without a beat button, you piece of shit. It's easy. No, it's bad. It's not good. It is. It's. I honestly feel like maybe it's just a hunch, but they've stretched themselves too thin. Okay, they don't have a big enough team to cover all of the cosmetic horse that they're trying to put together all the time. You got to get a new suit, got to get this, and then you have all the hot fixes, all the things that they're working on in the background, and then they're working on season 2, 3, Forge, co-op, all in tandem right next to each other. It's got to be exhausting. They need to, I don't know, it sounds to me like they need more people on their damn team, something, or they need to just prioritize fewer things at once, maybe. Something, but yeah,
flagship title, flagship studio.
I never said you were wrong. I just hated seeing it, you saucy bitch. Yeah, it's literally there's I don't even know if it's smoldering anymore. It might be on fire at this point. I don't know. It's coming.
Look, Husk has come to the light or the dark side, based on the way the internet treats me.
They're working on it. Okay.
They're working on. Oh, guys, it'll be okay. The player numbers will go up in season 2. They're working on it. I've seen that so much. Mokwama, look. Paris Lily, this guy always likes to be the limelight of corporations. He does not. Well, actually, that sounds like loaded. I'm not having a go at him, but for him to say something, and he's chummy with Microsoft and stuff, he says, I didn't think I would be saying this. He said, Halo should have been delayed. And he said, strong launch, but the season is simply not good enough. Problem is, and this is what the point I was trying to make, is early momentum, day one momentum in a game and how it's launched. You lose that, you're going to lose your big chunk of your player base. And I don't think it's a point of no recovery. Over time, I'm sure in 5-6 years we'll have abundance of content, but it's disgraceful for a Halo game like this to be treated, in my opinion. What's your take on it, Hargeet?
I've always been on your side as far as delaying, because co-op to me was a day one feature. If it's not there, it's not a co-op game, and that is just not Halo. Every Halo I've played co-op. And it just totally destroyed me to play that freaking alone, because it just wasn't the experience I was expecting.
I loved it.
Right? And that's great. The players who play it solo, good for you. I never played a Halo. Unless it was co-op. It was co-op to begin with for me. And so to me, that was an extremely annoying decision, because it sets a precedent that it's okay to release a game that was always co-op without co-op. I don't like that fact at all. So I would rather have them delay it and then give me the game that they should, because here's the problem. I did go ahead and play the campaign. Am I going to go back and play it now? The chances are low. They're just low. So that game has become a solo game for me instead of a co-op experience. So if they couldn't even get that, obviously the game is not ready. It just isn't ready. Yeah. And so to me, it always should have been either finish it and give me the delivered thing in December or whatever, or delay it until you can give me the experience that I should be getting, not this half-ass thing. I think the game had a lot of momentum going in, and it did a lot of things really well, but it has fallen off. It has, and it's on them that they've done this. They need to be on top of it, get engaged with the community, give them stuff all the time. It's just the way it is, right? These things exist. It's not in a vacuum. There are plenty of games like it. You have to keep on top of it, and it's shame on 343 for not doing it. Right?
Question is, which would be worse? Another delay, which one's going to hurt you more?
A delayed game is bad, but eventually
It's
good,
not.
or whatever Shigeru Miyamoto's stupid quote that's copy and pasted all the time. Assuming the delay is handled well. Acer, come on, man. I'm passionate about this, but I need your sensible source. What do you think?
So, yeah, you've been saying it all along, and now even like the most basic take influencers are like, delay Halo should have been delayed. You know the ones that are like, Game Pass is good value. Those kind of influencers. Even they're on board with you now. Yeah, I said that.
Oh, damn. That was...
The thing with Halo, though...
Oh. Yes.
The thing with Halo, though, is if they delayed it, there's going to come a point where it catches up anyway, regardless of how long they delayed it for and how much content they put in. A live service game lives and dies by supporting the live service model, and they're proving they can't do that right now. And, they could delay it, and they could have launched it with a couple more maps and a co-op mode, but 6 months down the line they'd be in the same situation as they're in right now, because they cannot support it in the way that people have come to expect from Fortnite. Apex Legends is a ways behind Fortnite, but it's a ways above Halo, right? In terms of how much they deliver on content, maps, characters, all the rest of it. There are too many examples of live service games.
What Titanfall was.
Well, that's fair. I'm not a fan of Apex particularly, but
sorry.
There's a ton of games out, a ton of live service games out that deliver more from the point of going live than Halo has. So regardless of delay or not delay, they have not got the team that can deliver a live service right now, going by what we've seen so far, and that's a shame for Halo.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. It's been way too long. We talked about. I never imagined it would be this anemic or this badly handled. Everyone was like, oh, well, thank you, 343, for being so upfront and communicative. And then 3 months down the line, boom, nothing. And then they congratulated them for saying, oh, we're going to delay our update to our roadmap announcement. They actually delayed the announcement. And then when it came... This is what you got. 2 maps is going to be okay. And I've already seen, 2 maps a season is fine. bro, this is Halo, man. The game had so many maps. There should be you'd be smashing. You have so much competition in the space. Like you said, Asa, the other live service games have hit the ground running. Yes, season ones tend to be weak. Well, so in the chat, you super chatted earlier. South African bloke, Mike. Region filters. What the flip is a region filter? Apex Legends had it day one. You don't have region filters. You have scores of South Africans, Australians, other people sick and tired of a game that has no competitive integrity because the netcode is broken or the game has no region filter. It's a basic thing that even the Master Chief Collection had. For God's sake, man. Like, this is your studio.
A replay of MCC.
Huh?
Infinite's a replay of MCC right now, literally.
Yeah, it is. It's a replay of what's happened with Master Chief. At least it works. But then the game mode didn't work for a month, which is embarrassing, man. The studio, when I did my campaign review, and I said the pressure will be on for them to release a content roadmap for the campaign, I was kind of taken aback by it. No one else really believed that or had that same energy about it. And I still think that that's a glaring thing. But the campaign aside, multiplayer to me is just ridiculous. The studio is now apparently got another third-party contracted outfit to build another game mode. If it is Battle Royale, build a shrine for Dr. Disrespect if you were the ones to hate on him, because I actually agreed with him, because not that I thought Halo would die, but I thought the game really would do well with the Battle Royale game. Ultimately,
but he said it needed it. It had to have it.
And maybe he's right.
I disagreed with that. It wouldn't hurt to have it. I disagreed
to the point. If it had more content, it was meaningful. It didn't need to have Battle Royale, but it would do well with Battle Royale.
Yes.
But the numbers dropped. He did say it needed to have it, or the numbers will all be forgotten in a couple of weeks. And really, the numbers have plummeted. So I am sure one day the game will be great. By then, I'll have lost steam. I'm back on Apex Legends, spending my time and money there. But yeah, look, I know, sound like a... just going on at it. Halo is one of my top franchises, and I've come to the point where I've realized 343 are not the studio. Even though in my review I called it an incomplete masterpiece because there are bits I really liked as a core Halo fan and the spirit of Halo. They are not the studio to go forward with it. I have zero confidence, and I'd say that to your face, 343. And I'm sorry, I just don't feel like you're good enough for that legacy. Prove me wrong, but I have no faith in you. And if anyone has faith, let's wait till 343. I laugh at you. I'm sorry. That sounds patronizing. It's meant to be. Z Black Rider, thank you so much for the $10 Canadian. Halo will be fine. Here's some money for a Xanax script. Happy birthday, Gaz. Get me the Xanax, not the script. We don't have it here in this country. I will then stop my Halo hate because Xanax is dank. No, it's not. Do not do drugs, kids, even if it's prescription stuff. Danny Passion Official, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. He goes, I beat Sekiro once and I want to enjoy the game again, but due to the difficulty, I don't think it's worth it. Fighting the final boss wasn't fun at all. Danny, if you play single player games more than once, you need some Xanax.
Ouch.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, so... That's been an interesting take. Of course, we had to have this Halo hatred, but it's finally coming to the fore where people are recognizing what's going on with that studio, and I hate to be right on that. And it's not just me being right. I'm not right in predicting how badly the multiplayer is being now. I didn't think it was going to be like this. It's way worse. Never mind. Xbox Japan, apparently it was supposed to be gaining traction. Everyone's like, 600% gains here, and the numbers came out and they're not that high. Hargeet, you're a statistician. Talk to us about Xbox apparently gaining traction in Japan, but not really. What's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, we'll give them a little bit of credit that, the Series X or Series S and X have outsold the Xbox One in a little over a year, instead of the 7 or so years that the Xbox One has been sold over there. But it's pathetic. pathetic, right? It's 150-ish thousand total sales. I think PlayStation 5 is already at like 1 million. It is what it is, right? So that market is very tough for them to get into. I think they have 2 million or something like that total lifetime, with 360 being the majority of that. And the Xbox original actually did better than the Xbox One. But this is something that Microsoft needs to kind of tackle. It's tough because there are two incumbent industry leaders that are in Japan, Nintendo and Sony, and they're going to dominate their own market. That's the way it is. Xbox has always played third fiddle anyway. So to be dominant in Japan, they're going to have to really bring their game, and that is part of it. It's the games, right? There needs to be something that Xbox brings to the table that the other two aren't, and that really just isn't the case. It's a catch-up game of, hey, we also have those games that you guys have on the other platforms. So why won't they just use the other platform, right? So it has to be like, no, we have these killer, Japanese RPGs, Japanese games that you want to play that are only available here, and that will push the need for them to bother, right, to buy it. The other thing is value, but again, there are so many key games that just don't make it to Xbox. They just don't, and the consumer over there is going to be like, well, I'm going to go with the things that are going to give me that option, right? So that's kind of where it is, and it's up to Xbox to compete in that market, right? They got to bring it up. That's up to them.
That's where I think the acquisitions will lead to some Japanese consolidation there. But they need to do something.
But they've tried before, right? They had Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon, which were big gets for Xbox. Yep. How many games do they need to turn that audience, Hargeet, would you say?
It has to be consistent, 7. Right? So, and it's not like 1 or 2 games or even 10 games. It's we have a pipeline of these games you're going to adore. It's a franchise you don't want to ever give up, right? So if I took, say, I don't know, Dragon Quest or something like that and said, that is now an Xbox franchise, that's going to drive sales because there are plenty of people in Japan that want to play that franchise, right? If I took Final Fantasy, something like along those lines, right? That's what it can't be like I have a one-off. It was done and it's over, right? There's never going to be another one. Cool. I may want that experience. I may not want that experience, but it's not going to be enough to go plop down $400 for a new console. That's kind of the problem. So that's where I would look at it, right?
I was kind of looking for a number, but I guess I'll take that. Gas said 7.
I don't know if there's an easy number. It'd be like every, say, 3 years there is something. Every 2 years there is something. That's what they would be looking for.
For me,
my guess.
I think you're absolutely right that kind of thing would make a difference. I think their approach there has to be what they're doing with Game Pass and cloud gaming, though. They need to reduce barriers to entry to kind of let people creep over with less resistance, with it being less of an initial outlay to do so. So get those games on a service so that people can go and try them without investing in a console. Then I think they can probably start to make some actual traction. But
yeah, I think it's going to be tricky there, but it's I'm intrigued to see what they can do in that region. I was going to talk about Steam Deck, but I've lost steam in talking about that topic until we get our hands on with those. I'm working on a video, which is what studio should PlayStation buy? Because as much as you think we're an Xbox only channel, we have very strong Xbox content, and obviously I like Xbox. Stop dropping codes. No, don't stop. Thank you so much. Shout out Hargeet, you had to super chat that as well, and there's got to be a better way to do that. Thank you so much. You're very generous. Shadow Warrior 3. Oh shit, I forgot about that game.
You can't have it. US only for that one.
Sorry.
Okay. No. I'm not going to have the code. But that game came out, and I had really high hopes for it, and it's sitting on a Metacritic of 70 something. How much I care about Metacritic, right? Shadow Warrior 3. I'm downloading because I'm game sharing with Cole Eastwood. Thank you so much, Cole. And the reviews have been kind of lukewarm, middling. I can't even find it for some reason. 70 something. Have you, gents, any of you played it? I know it just came out, probably playing Elden Ring. But this is a game that looks really fun. It's from Devolver Digital, who are hilarious. The game is all about, basically, in the words of Colt Eastwood, Doom, but crazier and sillier. Yeah. And I think the game has, maybe 70s is fine. The game is just generally quite chaotic, but I think some of the reviews said that it got a little bit tiresome. It needed a little bit more than just that. But Colt had a great time with it, and if you just want to get kind of like a Rambo movie, you want to shut your brain off, enjoy some like Doom-esque kind of gameplay, this is the kind of game for you. And it looks great. It looks really good. But it didn't really hit as hard as I thought it would. The quality beats, and generally I think even the run up to its launch, I felt like I was shouting about it, but there was no like no other hype for it, and maybe perhaps why, because I never played the Shadow Warrior games, so this is a game that you should definitely try out if you want something to pull you away from Elden Ring and just switch your brain off and play. But yeah, thank you for reminding me, Hargeet, about that. Final topic. Let's talk about this chat. I want to chat with you and our guests. I'm working on a video and basically hoping we make the video. Now, the script is pretty much written, I guess. But Husk, talk to me. We talk about Xbox all the time. PlayStation has announced that it's going to be buying more studios and is going to be doing so soon. What studio should PlayStation buy? What do you think they will buy?
I don't know. It makes sense to pull Kojima back in, wouldn't it?
So Kojima Productions is one of those in my video. Kojima Productions.
That's fair. I don't know. Sega? They could snag Sega. I mean, they could.
I was actually put that out on my video. Sega? Why would PlayStation buy Sega?
Why would they?
What does Sega have to offer? I don't have the. That's a good. There's 0 Fs given. But Sega, Hargeet, Sega. He says Kojima Productions is a strong one, but
yeah. If I look at what they don't have, I would go with
doesn't
Capcom.
have.
Right. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Capcom seems like a good fit. Sega's not a bad fit either, by the way. It's a pretty good fit. But I would go with Capcom. It gives them Street Fighter, and they have Evo, I think, is the platform, right? So they have Street Fighter.
Evil too.
And yeah, it gives them Resident Evil. It gives them like things that they kind of lack, right? So I think that's a better fit for them. Sega's pretty good too. And either one, I think, kind of fits in their budget. So I think they could pick up either one of those. But Capcom, I think, has the better fit. So that's just my thoughts on it.
So Capcom is I mean, I thought at one point that was not really something that was viable for Sony or PlayStation, but its valuation is only like, when they say only, at one point it was
like that. Yeah, it's about 6 or 7 billion. It's something in that range,
it's only
right?
6 or 7 billion. 6 or 7 is just cheap.
I know we don't
right?
think it, but in terms of what they have available, I think it was like 10 to 12. I think is what they have left in their war chest, and this is to be expended over the next 2 years or something like that. So that's in there. It's in their budget range, right? So they can't buy it for 6. It would have to be bumped up a bit. So say about 8 or 9, something like that. So it fits. They could do it. So I think
it would be exciting if they bought Capcom. Obviously, that would cause a beef there. Because with Capcom, they get Street Fighter, they get Monster Hunter, which was the game that Monster Hunter World actually increased Capcom's dwindling valuation at that point significantly. Capcom was almost in trouble until that came about. Then you got Devil May Cry, you got the Resident Evil games, you got Dead Rising, and then you got some games like Mega Man and Darkstalkers, Dino Crisis, Onimusha. When is the last time we're going to see Onimusha? Power Stone, the game we love to mention here. Okami, Acer. Capcom seems to be the runner-up for a lot of people are saying. What do you think?
I reckon they should look at where they're weak and they should buy Square Enix for their live service expertise. That's sarcasm. Their live service expertise, no. But Square Enix need rescuing, right? Someone needs to buy Square Enix and sack whoever's responsible for their sales estimations. Problem solved there.
I find them a good target for Xbox. I think Square is a better target for them if they're willing to do it. That's the thing. Because they have a lot of those games that Microsoft needs. Xbox needs some of those games, like third-person games.
So some of the games, Final Fantasy.
right?
Raider.
But but those Japanese games, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, right? You just get all that. It's a big deal. Those games are a big deal, right? So I think Square is a better fit for. But again, it's up to whether those two. The way Japan works, right? It's also about the culture, and so there have to be a fit, whether they'd be okay with that or not, right? So.
That's
an
good
interesting
point.
Headache, but if there was a studio they should go, I think that's what Microsoft. Sega's the other one again. That's kind of good for both parties. That could work for either one, and Sega's a lot cheaper, I guess. But Square would be a good fit, I think, for Xbox.
They need the rescue from
that's
someone. They
interesting.
need someone to go in there and surgically remove whoever's making these sales estimations. Every 3 months, Square Enix come out like,
And I mean,
this game didn't meet expectations, and neither did that one and that one. Get rid of whoever's setting your
Theoretically, that could be the
expectations,
board,
please.
theoretically, that could be their board, right? So they are a public traded company, so they have shareholders and a board, right? So it could be the board that does that, right? So
I'm sure it's the board.
Yeah, they could absolutely go
massively
and replace whoever.
inflating their to keep the shareholders happy in the meantime, whilst they fail and then make these public statements.
I mean, on the flip side, Final Fantasy 14 right, is
Konami.
doing really well, right? So, oh god,
I think they should. I think they'll likely buy Konami.
I think
Konami's the
Konami
one.
is toxic. I wouldn't even bother. They have
But
nothing.
They'll be cheap. They'll be cheap.
They won't be cheap.
Okay, that's a good point.
They won't be cheap.
They've got Metal Gear and they've got Silent Hill, and all the fans want those. And I'm
nobody
sure
to
they're
make
going
those
for
games.
cheap now.
And nobody to make those games.
Nobody to make those games.
That's
Okay,
the
that's a
problem,
fair point.
right?
And Metal Gear's nothing without Kojima and blah blah blah. From Software. Lots of people said they're going to buy From, and they had Bloodborne. They've got history with actually they got history at Xbox as well. People don't know who played Otogi or Chromehound.
Yeah, they were
on the original
exclusives.
Xbox.
Yep.
But what about From? They're buying something. We're going to find out very soon, people.
The company that owns them would have to have a desire to get rid of them, right? And right now it's just a profit center, especially after Elden Ring. You think they're going to say, "Oh, you just made me billions of dollars. We're going to give you up"? Why? Right? There's no point to that.
It's a seller's market though, because the game industry is changing. Or I'm telling you, every studio is having this conversation.
But generally,
This is
they're
the
owned by
time.
themselves, right? So in this case, they're fully owned by somebody else, and it's up to them to decide whether they want to. And they could. You're right. Maybe if Sony or Microsoft walk in and say, "Hey, we're going to give you $20 billion for them," which is absurd. But they might sell it. But why would they otherwise? Because it's just a profit center, right?
Yeah.
These games have always sold well, so it doesn't matter, right? They do what they need to do, and they get their sales. So.
Well, Warner Brothers Interactive were in 2020 were going for 4 billion. 4 billion, which is nothing.
Yeah.
I guarantee you it's probably doubled that at least. But they have the Mortal Kombat games, they have Batman games, they got the Lego games that they are consistent sellers. They got Suicide Squad, Injustice, Harry Potter, Mad Max. It's pretty much reading out my video. But there's a lot there. Sony gonna do
the
something.
DC universe, especially, that's a big one.
Which
they
one?
should do more with DC universe.
Yeah.
The DC universe is and in my video I talk about it's a little bit about insight about the superhero thing. Like DC getting that with Marvel would be absolute gut punch in Xbox. Massive move. It would hurt Xbox / comic book fans as well. They have a monopoly on superheroes. Can you imagine? This is why Xbox, you need to buy bloody Warner Brothers. It's going to get interesting, ladies and gentlemen, and we have gone past our time limit, but it's been a good chat. It's been a good chat for our new addition to our team, Hargeet. He's very sensible with the statistics, and Dank means we'll get him a better camera. And also Husk from Gaming Beyond the Box for this sensible, it's weird to see you so sensible in Gaming Beyond the Box. It's absolute shitstorm of madness, and that's why we love him. Everyone in chat, I hope you had a good time. Please smash that like button before we leave. We've got couple of videos, one source and one non-sourcely, hopefully get to release next week. And before we go, I had
a song, hopefully someday too. Jeez.
And the song, don't ruin it. The surprise. Me and Husk are working on a collaboration. Might be a song together.
Could be a dance or come up with a pretty sweet dance move.
It's not, but it's going to be saucy, very saucy. So saucy, I wouldn't even feature it on our channel. But Gaming Beyond the Box will have it. So there you go. But yeah, we're definitely working on that collaboration. And speaking of Husk from Gaming Beyond the Box, tell people. I hope you had a good time.
Absolutely.
And second, tell us where people can. I'm glad you had a good time. And also, where can people find you? Do it.
ACS_Husk. Literally everywhere. Come check us out on Wednesdays on Gaming Beyond the Box. Wilmy's YouTube channel, for those who don't know, 8 Eastern. I do run a creator feature. Gaz was just on that. If you want some insight into his backstory and his history, go check that out. It was last weekend, actually.
Yeah.
I try and do one once a month. I'm not doing one in May. We have Everborn Saga coming up on the 26th. I think it's 26th. Anyways, yeah. Our first comic book creator on the show coming up. So
nice.
Yeah, that's where you can find us. Keep an eye out for that. Go follow me on Twitter if you give 2 shites. That's
you
borderline.
can say
Well, okay, that's the worst I've said today. So
you can swear on the show, by the way. But okay.
Well, yeah, but you always hit your bleep button. So I was I
just do it because it's better. It just sounds better for comedic effect. What the fuck?
Oh, I love it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
That's why I made fun of it earlier. And I just censored it myself. But no, I had a blast. I loved being here. I hope I get to be back soon.
Absolutely. It's been a while. We've tried it 3 times. I know live stuff came ahead, but I'm glad you're here and absolutely looking forward to having you again, Husk.
And great addition to your team, by the way. I fucking love this guy over here. It's fun to listen to. Really
absolutely. We're going to get Hargeet with some people that are like-minded but intelligent, but also everything that I'm not. So intelligent, like-minded, well-spared, and give people's Hargeet, a new addition to the GameOnDaily family. Hopefully we can see some of your content as well. We're going to work together. How that works is we're a content creator platform. Everyone is really part of the familia, but ultimately Hargeet is going to be featuring in our videos. We'll figure something out, but I just want to extend friendship.
Yes.
How are you? How are you enjoying your second show on GameOnDaily?
It's good stuff, right? Talking about stuff we always talk about in chat, right? So
exactly. We always talk about that in chat, in a party chat, and it's good to have the benefit of having an audience that listens to us. I hope you had a good time. And hopefully we'll sort out, because he's not on social media, people. He's a hermit. So you're not going to find him exclusively only on GameOnDaily.
That's right.
Last but certainly not least is my co-founder, my cohort, Asa, who's been nice to me lately. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. This is a good show, right? Where else can you find a host that's anti-accessibility? Only here. Unique. Just us.
Don't say that.
No, thanks, Husk, Hargeet, and everyone that's come through chat, as always. It's been a good show. And I'll be right here next week. I'll be on my Twitch channel a bit more. I spent far too long working on a Cyberpunk video last week, but I'll be back on the VR treadmill and doing all the rest of it, and hope to see some people there.
Absolutely. Do check out Ace's Cyberpunk video. I know it was a bit late, but it is dank. And who does that kind of tech analysis apart from Digital Foundry? We do, and it was a great video. Please check that out and smash that like button on the way out. We have more content coming, definitely more things in the works, trust me. Our website, by the way, has been an update. There was an update last night. It went down a bit as we're updating it, introducing a games directory. Maybe perhaps next week we will talk about it in more detail as we get hands-on with it ourselves. Do check out GameOnDaily.com. It will be a force, I promise you. Thank you, take care, and see you next week.